It seems it's finally time we had a taste of our own medicine. What happens when we're faced with a truly powerful opponent whose strength lies not in their stature or their unique projectiles, but their agility and their intelligence? Sly is a foe of such tremendous speed and adaptability that when I first sought these challenges, Sly was nearly the one to make me give up. If you haven't got a read on his movements and his patterns, he might just make you do the same. But that's why I'm here. Now, let's take a look at what makes him tick. He's got the ground combo, the jump combo, the cyclone slash, the dash slash, the great slash, and final frenzy. The ground combo is more or less his primary means of attack. It's almost certainly the attack you'll see him do the most. The combo consists of 3 separate slashes, and the second and third both have some interesting AI going on under the hood. See, what makes Sly so formidable isn't his stalking great nail, it's his discipline. Sly isn't relentless or stupid enough to follow through with an attack that you've long since dodged. So, after doing the first slash, his AI runs a check to see if you've gotten behind him, and if you are, he'll immediately turn around and attack towards you. He doesn't do the same thing between the second and third attacks, but instead, he runs a check to see if you're within a certain proximity of him. If you're too far away, he just won't use the third slash. This is a problem because that third slash has a much larger cooldown than the second. So if he cuts off the attack before committing to that third attack, you can forget trying to get in some damage before his next maneuver. His jump combo functions in a similar way. This is the attack he'll use most often if you're particularly far away from him, and it clears distance extremely fast, so never assume you're safe if you're far away. After performing a slash as he lands, he'll once again check your proximity, and if you're far enough away, he won't do the second hit of this attack. And, once more, his follow-up attack has a much longer cooldown than the preceding one, so you want him to commit so that you can get in a couple of hits in afterwards. This is the crux of this entire fight. These 2 combos are what he'll be using primarily through the first phase, and in both cases, you want to stay close enough to draw him into committing to his finishers. If he does, you can dash in and get 2 slashes in before retreating. If he doesn't commit, however, you just have to wait for another attack, or else you will be eating a giant nail to the face. Of course, staying close enough to Sly that he'll always use his finishers is much easier said than done, what with the aforementioned giant nail swinging hither and thither with every attack. You may have to lean pretty heavily on the Shade Cloak dash in order to keep your positioning, and especially to stay out of the corners. But pick your timing carefully, as Sly's enormous arching slashes can be too wide to dash through. The safest time to dash through to the other side of Sly is during his ground combo, after the second slash, as the third doesn't switch directions, and has a relatively thin hitbox. But that's just Sly's basic tools. He also packs all 3 nail arts in order to mix things up to keep you on your toes. The Cyclone Slash has a very distinct telegraph of him charging up in midair, but this attack is just a little bit insane. He'll fly around the arena for its duration, targeting your position, but also having ice-like momentum, the ability to bounce off surfaces, and a susceptibility to knockback. In order to dodge this attack, you'll most likely have to pass over top of him. As long as you're doing that, I recommend trying for a nail pogo as you pass over his head. If you hit his body instead of his nail, it'll push him downwards and make him even easier to avoid. Just go for one, mind you. Trying to stay up top and forcing him down with nail pogos might sound like a good idea, but the precision required to land each nail pogo on his body instead of his nail while he's slip-sliding all over the place is absolutely unreasonable. Just get in one hit and then stay safe on the other side. The dash slash is almost identical to how it was when Oro used it, though it does charge quite a bit faster and the slash itself has a much taller hitbox. Beyond that though, dodging this attack seems like it'd really just be a matter of getting behind him, but there are a couple complications in that strategy. Once again, Sly is a little smarter than that. If you get behind him before he's finished charging, he'll simply drop the charge and switch to another attack. It's better to try and clear this attack with a jump. The Great Slash is Sly's only attack which deals 2 masks of damage, and that means that dodging this attack is your highest priority. Its wind-up is nearly identical to the Dash Slash, including the ability to stop early if you slip behind him before he's charged up. This similarity poses a bit of an issue, but it's not too hard to dodge in such a way that will keep you safe regardless of which nail art he's charging. First, when you see him start charging on the ground, immediately dash away. Once again, the Great Slash is the more threatening of the two, so even if you're slow on the uptake and only have time to either dash or jump, you want to dash. Once you've dashed, then you can jump, perhaps even a double jump just to be safe. All 3 nail arts have a long enough cooldown that you might consider getting in a slash when he's finished, but no one would fault you for playing it safe and getting your damage in elsewhere. His last attack, the Final Frenzy, makes up the entirety of his second phase. When he falls to 250 HP, he'll no longer use any of the first 5 attacks, and instead exclusively attack you like so, flinging himself in straight lines around the arena, pausing and changing directions whenever he touches a wall, floor, or ceiling. The only time he'll stop is when he gets within a certain distance of you, at which point he'll pause and then come at you with a whirling slash attack. He also cannot be staggered in this phase. The cooldown of the whirling slash is extremely small, and Sly will immediately resume flying around the screen when it's over. But, apart from using spells, that cooldown is your only opportunity to deal damage. That's pretty bad news, since the range of the whirling slash is a bit longer than the range of our nail, so getting in an attack would require getting uncomfortably close. But, not to worry, it's time we use Sly's own teachings against him. Your best friend against the Final Frenzy is your own Great Slash. The increased damage is nice, but the range is indispensable against Sly's onslaught, and the charging time is nearly a non-issue, since you'll usually have a few hops from wall to wall before Sly closes in on you. Apart from that, just try and stick close to center stage, and use your Shade Cloak to dodge just about every whirling slash. In effect, we've already broken down the game plan here, but let's quickly summarize just to be thorough. Stay close enough to Sly that he uses the last attacks of his combos, then close in and get 2 slashes in before retreating. Stay out of the corners, but be particular in your use of Shade Cloak to accomplish that. Spells are pretty much always a good option against him, though maybe don't get too clever with Abyss Shriek, as the odd knockback can drop him right on top of you. And in Phase 2, dodge, Great Slash, repeat. And that's just about gonna do it. Sly, consider this karma for all those shenanigans you pulled with me in your shop. On Ascended, he gets a pretty significant boost to his HP. About 50%. So we are going to have to play this a little safer. I am not doing that, but all around, since we're not going to have an entire fight of 9 other bosses leading up to him, it is a lot easier to go for some slightly faster strategies. Not to mention the fact that we actually have Soul to sling around now. His last phase, having 600 HP as opposed to 250, does make it feel a bit more like an endurance challenge, but honestly, once you've gotten the timing down for the Shadow Dash away into the Great Nail Slash on him, it's a foregone conclusion. His last phase is so predictable since he only does 2 things, dash around and do the pinwheel, that there's really nothing he can do to surprise you. Your first time reaching this phase, it can definitely look overwhelming, but honestly, even the music change, the way the music changes is a bit over the top considering everything that this actually means. And that's going to do it there. But of course, we're moving on to Radiant. And I remember the idea of beating this guy on Radiant seemed absolutely unapproachable to me. It's like, this guy really? The giant nail and the super rapid hitboxes? He like never leaves you a chance to hit him, but that was just before I knew when exactly he leaves you the chance to hit him. And after that, it's pretty much all downhill. Whoa, what was that? Got a nail charging, but I don't want to pause myself. Bam! Oh, good stuff, good stuff. More spells you use, faster it'll go, of course. Although, ooh, that was actually ill-advised. As I said, don't get too clever with the Abyss Shriek like I literally just did. Because you'll most likely, not most likely, but it's definitely possible you'll just knock him into yourself. If you're really struggling with this fight, one thing you could do is not bother trying to attack him after his jumping combo. Its cooldown is, even after doing a follow-up attack, it's slightly less than his ground combo is. So it can all around be a little bit riskier to go after him during that. Of course, the trade-off is that the fight will take longer if you're only attacking him, if you're attacking him during fewer of his attacks. But that's the price we always pay. Nice. Ooh. I don't like I really don't like when foes can get hit into a stagger and hit out by the same spell. I know why it happens, but I'd rather it didn't. Where'd he go? Okay. Alright, I don't want to be in the corner. We've already gone over that. Getting in the corner for this particular series of attacks can be a big problem. And I probably should have overcharmed, just because having Nailmaster's Glory makes this particular part of the fight a little bit easier. So you don't have to pay as much attention to whether or not you've charged. But typically the amount of jumps he does between each dash are almost uniformly enough for you to charge up a single nail pogo, or not nail pogo, nail art in between anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And now I think I'm just going to finish the job with spells. Oh, one spell. Okay. Thank you, Sly. I'll be taking all of my Geo back now.
Thank you again for watching Boss Blitz, my friends. Incidentally, I did tackle the first 3 Pantheons with all bindings. If you are looking for a guide on how to do that, we'll find it in the full playthrough that I have linked on screen right now. But that does bring us to the 4th Pantheon and its master, the Pure Vessel.